Good afternoon, and welcome to Faces of DACA Live. My name is Jose Arnulfo Cabrera. I am the Director of Education and Advocacy for Migration at Ignatian Solidarity Network. For over 15 years, the Ignatian Solidarity Network has been uniting the Jesuit network and larger Catholic Church to build a more just world through faith-based social justice formation, education, and advocacy. In September of 2017, the Trump administration rescinded the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, which protected eligible undocumented youth, young adults from deportation. By doing so, it put recipients in danger of deportation. Numerous lawsuits were brought against the administration. These successful lawsuits allowed DACA recipients to continue renewing their DACA, but denied applications from new eligible individuals. For years, ISN has worked to uplift the stories of DACA recipients and their families in our Ignatian network. We have shared these contributions they have made across our country at Jesuit institutions, including colleges and universities, parishes, Jesuit-run ministries and organizations. Since 2009, we have mobilized our Ignatian family to advocate for a pathway to citizenship for undocumented youth. Today, we continue that work and follow the lead of DACA recipients in our Ignatian family. Last November, I stood with Jesuit priests, parishioners of Jesuit parishes, faculty and staff of Jesuit schools, and DACA recipients in our Jesuit networks on the steps of the Supreme Court as the justices heard oral arguments for the DACA case. Since March, thousands of us have been waiting for a ruling on DACA. Regardless of time zone you are in, DACA recipients, advocates, allies wake up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to begin hitting refresh on the Supreme Court's website to see if today is the day we all spring into action and begin the next stage to fight for DACA recipients and their families. Since February, ISN has been releasing a series of one-pagers called Faces of DACA, What's at Stake? We hope these one-pagers would create a moment of encounter with you and a DACA recipient in your Jesuit and Catholic family, and help you understand what DACA recipients are facing as the Supreme Court determines your fate. Now we want to take it one step further and broadcast a series of conversations with the participants of Faces of DACA one-pagers. Today, we're going to hear from Lizbeth Ramales Arango, a rising junior at Loyola Marymount University. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, thank you for having
Liz,
me.
no, thanks for hopping on with us and having this conversation. Could you just start by just sharing briefly your story with us?
Yeah, of course. So, hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Lizbeth, but everyone calls me Liz. I was born in Mexico on July 29, 2000, and my parents and I decided to immigrate to the United States in 2001. I turned 1 year old here in the States, and I have lived in Petaluma, California, which is located in Northern California, ever since. The only life I've known, the only memories I have with my family and my culture have been the ones that I created here in the United States with the family that I have here. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to go back, and if it weren't for DACA, I wouldn't have the protection that I have to this day and be able to attend higher education. Um, Growing up, it was really difficult. Growing up with no immigration status or being undocumented, and I've known about it ever since I can remember ever since I learned English. It was something that was embedded in the back of my head and never forgotten because it not only could threaten my safety, the security, and the solidarity between my family and I. So I really had to make sure that I was doing everything in my power to protect myself and most importantly, my family. My parents pushed the need for an education since I was 4 years old. They were like, go to school, learn everything that you can, make friends, really establish a life here because that was the only thing we could do besides having the fear of deportation with my parents or with any of my external family members because we were all undocumented. It was something that I had to grow up with, and it was really scary. I can I remember the first interaction I had with the police, which was when I was about 6 years old, and it was because my mom got pulled over for making one small infraction, and because of that small infraction, she got her car taken away, and it led up to so many more problems. She didn't have a way to have transportation to go to work, or have lack of communication between her boss because she didn't speak English. So small little things led up to so many bigger issues. And that was what I was dealing with ever since I was 4 up until to this day. And it has been constant interactions with police, with immigration, with so many different forms of law enforcement. And you can only imagine the toll it takes on a little girl, let alone a youth to this day. And it has not been easy, but through the support that I have with my friends and family, I have been able to overcome the challenges, the fears, the sacrifices that I've had to do because of my immigration status. Um, One of my greatest memories that I have with the support and the need to get out of the life that I was born into was through education, and most importantly in junior high, which was when my father was deported, and that was one of the stepping stones that I realized that if I don't continue my education and if I don't continue to push myself to the most like to the best ability that I can, then there's going to be no way out to all of the struggles, all of the fear, all of the unfortunate circumstances that come with being undocumented. Um, and that's when I realized that I need to keep going, not only for myself, but most importantly for my family, for my friends, for my little brother to show him that anything you set your mind to is possible. And that's when I started my journey with my education. I started going and asking for help for my teachers, for my friends, for any faculty that I could come and counter with, and that's what led up to applying to college. And when I started applying for college, that's when I realized that I was not gonna have it as easy as I thought it would be. Like I can't just apply to college and get money because I wasn't able to get federal aid. So that's when I started applying to scholarships. I started applying to different programs that I could get my hands on, and that really motivated me to keep going. I was like, anything that I do is possible with the help and motivation that I have considering my circumstances. And that's when I applied to LMU, and I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to attend for the 4 years. So ever since, I have not had to worry about financial um, circumstances, and that has been such a relief. And if it weren't for LMU, I wouldn't be standing in front of all y'all today. So thank you so much for having me.
No, Liz, thanks for sharing that your story. That's beautiful, and congratulations getting accepted to LMU. Now you have 2 years under your belt, and you you're also so I know that you're in you have a role that's under the student government role at LMU, and you're the director of undocumented students. Could you tell us like a little bit about what that is and how did that came to be?
Yeah, so like in high school and many stages of my life, I've gotten extremely involved. I try to get support as much as I can because I know I cannot do it alone. And through different extracurricular involvements, through clubs and organizations, is ASLMU, which is their student government on campus. Um, I decided to apply through one of my close friends. She told me about the position and she told me how it was new. It was established, I believe, in 2018 under um, the president and vice president of our student government. One of them, who was a vice president, was also undocumented. She has been one of my greatest influencers in undergrad, and everything that she has been involved in has shown me that anything is possible through her, not only her status, but through the hard work and ethic that she has produced. Um, so she established this position on campus, and she created a new director position for undocumented students under the vice president cabinet. So she established it hoping to have some representation for undocumented students. One of my other close friends got the position last year and has shown me what it was really like and what it can entail. It was a fairly new position, but there was so much potential that and change that this position could have established, not only for undocumented students on campus, but for all students in the entire campus. And this position basically shows not only representation, but it creates resources, it creates initiatives for undocumented students to create awareness all over campus that we are here and that we have the support that we need um, all over campus. And it's been a really influential role, not only on myself, but through all of campus. I've attended meetings, I've talked to faculty and staff, like what can I do to create awareness and resources to help succeed undocumented students, not only who obtain the scholarship that I have through being undocumented, but all undocumented students on campus. And it's been a blessing to be a part of.
That- Wow, that sounds amazing. I attended Xavier University here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we did not have anything like that. So, and congratulations for all the work that you've been doing this year. In that, do you see yourself continuing it next year?
Unfortunately, no. But the reason why I stepped down and didn't reapply, because you have to apply to obtain this position, was because I applied to quote unquote study abroad. Unfortunately, because of my immigration status, I can't study abroad internationally. But studying abroad has always been a dream of mine. I've always seen on television shows and seen other students who have graduated from high school like push on us, study abroad, study abroad, study abroad, and that's the constant narrative that we hear all
Mm,
over campus. But sometimes I guess people forget that not everyone can study abroad, whether it's because of their visa or they're international, whatever the circumstances is, if they're undocumented, they miss out on amazing opportunities that are so talked about all the time. And so instead of applying internationally, I decided to apply in Washington, D.C., which is one of the greatest cities besides LA. And I've always wanted to go to Washington, D.C. So I figured that studying abroad or studying in DC for a semester could be a life changing experience. And I hope to be able to go to DC next semester, which is why I didn't apply to be in the position this upcoming school year. But I know that the person taking on the role next year is going to be doing great things. She is one of my best friends. Um, and unfortunately,
mm,
she hasn't been at LMU this past year because she wasn't granted her visa and she was forced to stay in Mexico for the year. But she's coming back strong. She's going to be making powerful changes. I have so much faith in her and what she can do for not only social justice scholars, which are the scholarship recipients at LMU, but all undocumented students. And there's so much work to be done with this position, but with
mm,
the faculty and staff that we have at LMU, I know that they're great mentors and that will guide us in any way possible to create the different positive changes that LMU needs for undocumented students.
mm. That's great. That's awesome. And that does seem like a kind of a study abroad moving all across the country. And DC is one of my favorite cities. I actually spent a time there right after graduating college. Um, so congrats to you and getting that internship.
Thank you.
You speak with such a passion for the work that you do. Um, where did that, what what inspires you to keep doing this type of work, and um, yeah, what keeps that passion alive for you?
I feel like it's all the challenges that my community faces. I've seen it firsthand. It impacts not
Mm,
only me, but my parents. It impacts my friends. Like one of my friends couldn't even study at LMU because of the circumstances that immigration policies enforce. It's just so unfair that our students seeking an education or wanting a better life, not only for themselves but their families, have to go through so many obstacles just to be at the same level as other students. Um, so I feel like just being able to use my voice or any resources or any contacts that I have to like advocate for them is just one step closer to allowing them to pursue their dreams because I know how essential it is for them to succeed. Like the education is a way out of poverty, out of violence, out of all of these different circumstances that affect our lives, and it makes me really sad having to witness everything and expected to go to class or expected to live a normal life and just be able to move on, knowing that all of these students or all of these community members are suffering and going through unfortunate circumstances that they shouldn't have to be dealing with. So my parents have inspired me to keep going. My friends have inspired me to keep going. My
mm,
allies have inspired me to keep going. Um, we're a true family that I've seen at LMU and beyond the bluff. So it's like we're this huge family advocating for the rights of individuals who deserve it.
yeah, that's awesome. And now you're part of the Jesuit family, Ignatian family, and we continue to advocate and to do all that work for DACA recipients and undocumented migrants and undocumented youth and their families um, all across the country.
Mhm.
One last question I have for you, as as we await a decision on DACA, and as it's very scary. I mean, even for me who has DACA, I mean, just any more the night before a DACA decision is a tough night. Struggle to sleep, and I'm sure many of us do. What How are you doing? How do you with all this? Are you keeping up to date, or um, how are you, dealing with the stress of your fate being determined in the near future?
It's honestly really scary. This is a conversation that I have on a daily with my friends and family because it directly impacts us. And not only myself, but about the other members of my family have DACA. Everyone else is undocumented. And we've seen the
Mm,
impact that DACA has. Like, it gives us hope, it gives us the motivation to keep going. And if we lose our DACA, I feel like that's in a way gonna set us back or make us less motivated or less hopeful. And that's very, very unfortunate that it hold the power that the Supreme Court has for so many lives can impact their mental health, their physical health, their well-being, their education, their work, their future career. Like there's so many different factors that are going to be affected, which is very unfortunate. So I'm doing whatever I can to really advocate for DACA because it's really important. Like it gives us a social security, it gives us a work permit, it gives us safety from deportation. So the fact that I can and many of other students who are like me can get deported just because we weren't born here, but we're doing everything else right. That makes no sense. It's just it's really terrifying, and it's another fear that's being pushed on our community when it was established and benefited so many different human beings. Like we've seen the impact of DACA recipients, of these youth making positive differences in our community and on the world. Like we're here and we're going to keep fighting for safety and solidarity and all of these things. But if we lose DACA, that's just another stepping stone that we're going to have to overcome. But I'm still holding that hope that no matter what happens, we're going to overcome this.
Aquí estamos y no nos vamos, ¿verdad?
Exactly.
Liz, thank you so much for having a conversation and allowing us to broadcast it out live. You're a tremendous leader in LMU right now, and I only see you doing more and more great things. We are so proud to have you in this network, um, and we're honored to have you in this network. And I'm especially going to enjoy watching you lead your community, and all the work that you're aspiring to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, and before we go, if you haven't already, please visit our Faces DACA site at ignatiansolidarity.net. You'll be able to read all about other DACA recipients in our Ignatian network, unite in prayer, and find resources for DACA recipients. Now, following the DACA case is a lot right now, but don't stress about it. ISN has your back. Just text DACAEN for English or DCAES for Spanish to 202 800 1541 and get alerts on DACA and when the next decision day. Also, you can join the Ignatian Solidarity Network in calling on Congress to enact protections for DACA recipients, including a pathway to citizenship, by texting ACTION to 202 800 1541. So Liz, thank you again so much for for the conversation. Good luck in DC. Hopefully you get to do it with all the life that we're living with COVID. Y pues sí, muchas gracias.
Gracias.